This is a demonstration of the male figure, full figure, to show the proportions. It's actually going to be a schematic. It's not going to be a finished realistic rendering. It's just going to talk about the basics. So you start with a center line. You mark where the top is, and you mark where the bottom is. This is for an 8-head figure, which is the idealized figure that's used in comics and for most illustration. Halfway between the top and the bottom marks the end of the torso. So be kind of careful with measuring this out. They look fairly equal in length. Okay, now it's going to be an 8-head figure, so you divide it into quarters. So you look halfway between here to here, and halfway between here and here. Now you've got quarters. When you divide a quarter in half, you get an eighth, which is the 8 heads. So this gives you right away the size of the head. And again, use that center line to be checking that it looks symmetrical. Now, between the head and this mark here, which is the quarter mark, halfway you would put the you would put the shoulder line. Again, here's the center. Make sure they're symmetrical as much as you can. Sometimes I obviously put marks to indicate how far out it should come. And then you draw a V to the bottom, which will be where the torso is. Alright, now this is the Reilly 6 Lines, by the way. Reilly was an illustrator who came up with this system. He had from the neck, and again it's a male figure, so the neck is kind of as wide as the head or close to it, and then you get this kind of Coke bottle shape that would come down for the legs. I'm making it less wide because this is more of a superhero style proportion. Okay, so this is like for the legs. And that way you have these lines, the 6 lines of Reilly. Now, for the rib cage, the torso always has the rib cage and the hips. They're the two main masses. So here's the rib cage, and since again with the more modern figures they have bigger rib cages, and the hips are relatively smaller. When you've drawn the rib cage, it's easier. It's easy. Okay. When you've drawn the rib cage, it's easier to put the trapezius muscles echoing the curve of the rib cage. Going to the legs, this quarter mark is going to mark where the knees are going to be, the base of the knees. And then you would come out for the calf muscles. Now the general shape, you put the shapes, always remember you put in first the action, then the shapes, and finally the form. Form meaning light and shadow on the shapes. So here are now we're into the shapes. The shape of the shoulders. But when you draw the arms, it's the action of the arms first before you put the shapes in. And you kind of think of these as almost interconnected. Now the shoulders come down a quarter of the way, a third of the way on the upper arm. The arm, the elbow, you can find it on an arc from the base of the rib cage. And again, here's the shapes, they overlap each other. The lower arm is shaped like a diamond. kind of, an elongated diamond. And again, it's overlapped by the upper arm. The wrists are going to be on an arc with the base of the torso. And for now, I'm just indicating the hands. Since they're side view, they're kind of triangular looking because they're going to be at his side. Okay, now when you do the legs, the upper leg is oval, overlapping into the hips because it's joined at the, that's how it attaches to the body. The knee area you square off because originally I drew it as a circle, but it's not circular, especially when standing. It looks very square. And then the lower leg, as with the lower arm, is like an elongated diamond type of shape, but the outside is higher than the inside. There's actually, if you stood with your legs close together, there's a little space here that's diamond shaped too. And then of course here. Now, the opposite is true of the ankles. The outer ankle is lower than the inner ankle. So it's the opposite of what happened with the calf. And the feet look like, in this position, would look like a triangle. Or I always think of them like a doorstop, looking at a doorstop head on. The inside is the straight side, the outside has the slant.